Most landlords lose money before they even get started. Imagine you've just bought your first buy-to-let property and you're excited, picturing the rental income rolling in. But then reality hits. Most new landlords actually lose money before seeing a penny of rent. Surprising, right? Today, I want to walk you through the hidden costs that catch beginners off guard and how savvy investors avoid them. I'll reveal how to avoid what the 80% are doing wrong at the end of this video. When I bought my first buy-to-let, I learnt about these costs the hard way. Let's break down the 4 big profit killers that new landlords face before the rent checks start coming in. You get the keys, but you don't have a tenant yet. This empty time is known as the void period and is pure loss. In the UK, the average rental property sits empty for around 7 to 9 weeks between tenants. Think about that. Nearly 2 months with zero income. In the UK, an average void means roughly £1,085 in lost rent for the landlord per month. Essentially, you're paying the mortgage and bills with no tenant contributing. Next, you need a tenant fast. You could advertise yourself, but many landlords hire letting agents to find and vet tenants. Here's the catch. Letting agents aren't cheap. A typical tenant find fee in the UK is about 8 to 12% of the annual rent, often taken up front. In practical terms, that's roughly £500 to £1,500 just to secure a tenant. Some agents simply charge the equivalent of 1 month's rent as their finder's fee. So if your property would rent for £1,000 a month, say goodbye to about £1,000 straight away. And even if you self-manage, you might pay for listings, credit checks, and your own time, which, trust me, it's not worth it. Most properties aren't ready for tenants. Maybe the walls are scuffed, the carpets are old, or that avocado green bathroom needs an update. So before anyone moves in, you'll likely spend money on refurbishments. How much? It varies. But even a light refresh adds up. For example, a basic redecoration, painting walls, replacing flooring, can easily cost around £2,000 in total. It's wise to budget anywhere from £4,500 up to £15,000 for initial refurbs to get a typical property tenant ready. When I refurbished my first rental, I optimistically budgeted £3,000 and ended up spending nearly double. Being a landlord isn't just handing over the keys. It comes with legal responsibilities. Before a tenant moves in, you must ensure the property meets safety standards and all paperwork is in order. That means paying for things like gas safety certificates, annual requirements around £60 to £100. Electric Installation Condition Report, EICR, typically £150 for the inspection, but can be between £300 and £1,000 if remedial work is needed. Smoke and heat alarms on each floor, plus carbon dioxide detectors if needed, say £150 for a set. Portable appliance testing, PAT testing, for any provided appliances, £50. And don't forget tenancy setup administration. The paperwork might not cost much in fees, but it's time and potential solicitor costs. All told, just getting compliant can run into the thousands of pounds. I remember writing a lot of small cheques, £80 here, £120 there. It's added up to around £1,000 before I could even advertise the place. It's money you have to spend to stay on the right side of the law and protect your tenants, but it's another early hit to your cash flow. I certainly felt the pinch and thought, there has to be a better way. So what are savvy property investors doing to avoid this early cash drain? They've gone against the grain, buying properties that already have paying tenants in place. In other words, instead of purchasing an empty house and then hoping to find a tenant, you purchase an investment property that comes with a tenant from day one. Think about how this approach tackles each of those hidden costs. No void period. You inherit the tenant as soon as you complete the purchase, so rent starts coming in immediately. Often the tenant might not even know the property's changed owners, except where to pay the rent. This alone can save you that 3 to 4 week of lost income we talked about. No big tenant finding fee. Since there's already a vetted tenant in situ, you don't need to pay a letting agent to secure one. You're not scrambling to advertise or paying for tenanted find services. The tenant is there happily renting. Of course, eventually, if they move out years down the line, you might incur letting fees then, but by that time, you've been earning rent from day one and can plan it. No need for upfront refurb costs. If someone's living there currently, it's likely the property is in decent, habitable condition right now. Often, the previous owner or landlord has already done the necessary refurbs to attract and keep that tenant. You'll still want to do your due diligence, of course, but it's a far cry from setting everything up from scratch. When I discovered this approach, it felt like a light bulb moment. Why wasn't I doing this from the beginning? No wonder more and more investors are going down this route. It just makes sense in today's market. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but how do I actually find a property that already has a tenant? That's where we, Let Property, come in. Let Property specialises in pre-vetted tenanted buy-to-let deals, essentially connecting investors with properties that already have reliable tenants and proven rental income. Here's how it works with Let Property. We handpick properties that have good long-term tenants in place, then do all the necessary due diligence up front. That means we verify the tenant's payment history and background, ensure the property meets standards, compliance checks, property condition, and crunch the numbers so the deal actually stands up for an investor. By the time it reaches you, it's a fully vetted income-producing deal. The beauty of this is that all those hidden costs we've just discussed are drastically reduced or completely eliminated. No initial void. Rent is flowing from day one. Little to no refurb needed. The place is already tenant approved. Any improvements are optional and on your timeline. Compliance. Already sorted by the prior landlord. We double check that for you. Tenant fine fees. Not in this scenario. You've essentially inherited a paying tenant without paying an agent for the introduction. We basically built Let Property to be the service we wish existed when we started out as landlords. If you'd like to learn more about this approach or see what kind of tenanted deals are out there, I've left a link in the description for all the properties we currently have listed at the moment. You can simply browse opportunities where the hard work is already done. Who knows, you might find a great property that's already earning rent, waiting for you to be the new owner. And please remember to subscribe and leave a comment below. Thank you.